There's a lot of people who don't believe that modern black people are affected or influenced. They don't believe that today any of our behaviors are influenced by our experiences under the slave system. Do you agree with that? Do you believe that? Because I personally can't figure out how it couldn't. That's just how my mind works. I've thought about it for years. And to this day, I believe that much of how we behave today was set in motion under slavery. One thing in particular, in my opinion, is black women's superiority complex in comparison to black men. They have an intellectual superiority complex, and they are always right. That is what it does to them. It causes them to refuse to be corrected by black men. Under no circumstances will they accept the idea that black men are right and they are wrong, is more intelligent or anything like that. The only thing black men are is physically stronger. I believe that came from generations of them being groomed by white male slave masters and their families. In my opinion, everybody needs to understand this. When black women were inside of the slave master's home with their family, those black women were basically being transformed. They were being turned into black white women. And this is generations we talking about where they're spending their whole life being groomed by slave masters and their families. What do you think was going on during that time? Quite naturally, black women would be exposed to, and they would have front row seats to the superiority complex of the slave master. They would hear him speak, and he would talk. He would always talk from a superior stance, always inferiorizing black men. But that was a process of separating black men from black women. Like, hey, black woman, we're not going to do you like we do the black man. As long as you act right. You won't be beaten the way we beat him. You won't have to do the hard work that we make him do. You won't work as long hours. You won't work on weekends like he do, as long as you act right. We can't even understand how deeply they were being groomed. And you talking about generations, not only generations of them being under the roof of slave masters. So, the different generations would be influenced by the slave master and his family. the different generations, subsequent generations of black females would also be influenced and groomed by their own mothers, who were thoroughly groomed by slave masters and their families. But I'm telling you what the grooming involved. It involved rewarding those black women for operating against the best interests of the men. You get a better life. You get power. We'll give you authority over him. Stuff like this going on for generations. Those black women will become a creation. Do you think you can just release a group of women like that from slavery and all of that grooming disappears? Simply because they are no longer under the roof of white slave masters? Just from a psychological standpoint, that's impossible. Those subsequent generations are going to inherit that configuration like an app. Because what that is a reconfiguration of your brain and how it operates. So, like I said, like I've been saying, if they're going to change, they have to go through an exorcism that would have to involve both mental, spiritual, and physical activity. They have to be turned around again. See, all those generations was a process of reversing their mentality. When you reverse the roles, the gender roles, you also reverse the mind. Once you're adapted to that reversal, your brain is reversed now. And they can't accept black men as the leaders, as the authority figures. And this system knew that that was inside of them, and they reinforced it with Section 8 welfare and you go girl empowerment. Now here's the sad part. I'm just talking during the 70s. If they had really recovered from slavery and slavery no longer had influence in their mind, I don't believe they would have accepted it. It wouldn't have worked. The second wave of feminism, single mothers, it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have happened. And Black America would have stayed some 80% married. It only worked because they were still broken from the slave experience. It's uncomfortable to have to accept. But I don't listen to people who say leave slavery in the past. It has too much of an influence on the present. And you're not going to change because you're going to need, that's where the motivation is going to come from, to change yourselves today. It's going to have to come from your desire to not carry such a backwards demonic, these are demons from slavery into freedom, especially this deep into freedom. And I'll land it there.